Welcome to the 30-Minute Hour. It's the personal development podcast for authors, entrepreneurs, and career professionals who are looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me, as always, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
Happy Monday, y'all.
All right, it is a happy Monday for sure. Right. It's episode number 112 of the 30-Minute Hour podcast.
Wow, we've been doing this thing a long time, Eric.
Absolutely. We have. It's been a labor of love there, Ted, let me tell you.
We've been doing this thing a long time, Eric. A long time.
He's like, yeah, let's just leave it at that. Okay,
that's right.
Been a long time.
Okay, don't get all weird on me.
let's just say we've done a lot of episodes and leave it at that. Right?
That's right. No, it's
all right.
It's been great.
Well, as we've been warning our guest of the hour, this is not your everyday podcast. And she experienced some of that as we were talking backstage. But no, this truly is not your everyday podcast. You can watch us here on Facebook. We're live on Twitch, which is a new platform for us. We're also on LinkedIn. But also later we record this, and then you can check us out on Spotify and iTunes and anywhere you like to get your podcasts. So don't forget also about the What Now Movement Facebook group. Today is Marketing Monday. Make sure you're going in there and seeing everything we've got going on. And one of our main goals for this show, we want to help you to laugh. We want you to learn and ultimately level up. And if you feel like we've accomplished that for you, make sure you share the show.
Tell a friend.
That's right. Don't keep a good thing to yourself, right?
Tell a friend.
Right. I mean, it was the Zig Ziglar had a quote where he says that, you can get what you want by helping more people to get what they want.
That's it.
You got to make sure you share the show.
Share the show.
All right. Well, Ted.
Yes, Eric.
I've got something that's on my mind.
Please share, Eric.
All right. So today I want to talk to you and help you to discover how to get the result you want. That's right. How to get the result you want. And there's a familiar story. It's told about this farmer who he had done well in life, but he just wasn't satisfied. One day he heard that there were a number of other farmers who had gone off in search of diamond mines, and they went on to become instant millionaires. So he decided he would sell his farm and go out and find his own treasure. So he searched this African continent for 13 years without success. And then sadly, in a fit of despair, he just gave up and threw himself in the ocean and ultimately drowned. Now, back at his old farm, the new owner took over and he was out feeding the mule one day. And he noticed there was a rock beneath the creek. And it had a strange light to it. He took the rock to an expert and confirmed it to be a priceless diamond. And as he continued to walk the property, he saw these rocks everywhere. So the farm that the old farmer sold in an effort to find a diamond mine was discovered to be the greatest diamond mine on the African continent.
Wow.
Here's the big takeaway. Now, this is the part of the program where we need your undivided attention. I mean, if you're driving right now, you just got to pull over to the side of the road. We need your undivided attention. Pull over to the side of the road. If you're on the treadmill at the gym, you got to stop. Hit the pause button if you're on the treadmill. Ted, anything else that people need to do?
Meghana knows. Meghana, what should you do? You know what you should do at this point?
at this point, if you're on your way back from work or if you're about to cook your dinner, make your husband do it because it's time for you to start.
That's good.
That sounds good, but no. You got to put the ham sandwich down at this point. If you had a ham sandwich in your hand, this was the point that you got to put it down.
Oh, I was all about making someone else do the work.
You were close, though. You were close.
That's right. You got to put the ham sandwich down.
Yeah.
So the question on the table is, what's the big takeaway? How can you get the result that you want based off of this story? Here it is. Here's where you got to lean in. Sometimes the result you want is buried in the opportunity that you already have.
Say that one more time, Eric, because I don't know if they were taking notes. And I think some people were still on the treadmill. They didn't pull over. They just caught the tail end of it.
They were in mid-bite of the ham sandwich.
Mid-bite.
Yeah, let me say it again. I'm looking at the Instagram folks right here real quick here. Sometimes the result that you want is hidden in the opportunity that you already have. So there's a reason I bring this up, Ted. Our guest today, she launched a business to help these artisans from around the world get the result they want by leveraging the opportunity that they already have.
Wow.
The opportunity that's in front of them already. Let's go ahead and introduce her. She's the founder of Let's Curate. It's a global curator platform showcasing independent artisans. Let's Curate gives voice to those who focus on unique, handmade, high-end designs, curated art, crafts, textiles, and lifestyle products steeped in tradition and contemporary interpretations for audiences around the world.
Wow.
Please join me in welcoming to the 30-Minute Hour podcast, Meghana Giridhar.
Thank you so much. Hi, Eric and Ted. So good to see you. I'm so excited.
We're even more excited.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show. It's truly an honor to have you on. And this is a unique and interesting topic. We've never talked about this before. So I'm really excited to unpack this for our audience. But before we go there and really get to the meat of it, let's roll back the clock. Let's go back to your childhood. What did you want to be when you grew up?
When you're speaking about my childhood, I think I should just roll back maybe about 10 years. But no, I'm joking.
You're so accomplished.
I'm a miracle. I'm just a miracle. That's all I can say. No, just jokes apart. It's actually, I was telling Eric this, that, this question has never been asked. And it really made me pause. And I appreciate this question quite a bit because when I thought about the core of the question and when I try to connect it with what I built, my 2-year-old love story with Let's Curate, there is actually a very deep connection. So, of course, as I was growing up, there were so many things I wanted to be, and like all young people. And it's tough to kind of recall every single ridiculous thing that I wanted to achieve in my life. But the one thing that immediately popped in my mind was being a writer. I'm an avid reader of books. I've always been, I grew up in a household where, my parents were constantly reading. I was a voracious reader. And the interest built up to such an extent that I wanted to be that. I wanted to be a storyteller. I wanted to explore something that would allow me to speak what someone was thinking. And the best way at that point for me was through stories, or becoming an author or a journalist, or just kind of communicating with the people or bringing their thoughts to the forefront. And this question is so interesting because when I think back to what Let's Curate stands for, in one word, it's a storytelling platform. It's a story. That's what it is. It came about, and as we go along the interview, I would love to talk about that more. But the essence of Let's Curate is to show people what lies behind what someone has made. It's not just a creation. It's not just a product. Yes, it's handmade. Yes, it's from this part of the world. But why did someone make it? And what led to the creation? And that just stems from this whole thing from my childhood, which was about how do I tell the story? How do I pass on this message?
So it sounds like you're curious about the backstory.
Yes.
When you see something, you're like, okay, well, I wonder what's the origin. How did that happen?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I mean, even with that, I think that's one of the reasons that I love this podcasting thing that Ted and I do, is that I'm genuinely interested in what's the backstory. How did this person get to this point? And the one thing that interests me, especially that question I asked you, like I've yet to have someone say like what they're currently doing now, right?
You're so right. You're so right. Like you were saying, no one wakes up and says, I want to be this, Forbes 50 under 50. I want to be an architect building commercial real estate. No one wakes up or at the age of 5 is so specific about what they want, but it does, the question does take you back, and you realize that hopefully people who are doing what they love, they're doing it because they've made that connection with what was the basis of, their passion, which you're right. It comes all the way, it goes all the way back to when you were young.
Yes. Excellent. Well, good. So if you could go back to that time and talk to your younger self based off of what you know now, what advice would you give?
I would say patience, patience, patience. There were so many things I tried, and a lot of those things stemmed from what my friends were doing or what was expected of me, or, what the done thing is, that I was in a hurry to kind of do all of those things. I didn't take the time to, even explore something like writing, or which at that point was foremost on my mind, or, doing like a creative writing course, because it was just not, what people typically do. You go to school, you go to college, you get your degree, you find a company to work with. So I was in a rush to just get through with all of those things. Good things take time. Great things take an entire lifetime. So, I would tell my younger self that have the patience. It's okay to be slow. It's okay to take your time finding what you really want to do. Because, right now, it's been such a long journey, and I sometimes feel that, oh my God, I wasted all this time. I could have been doing what I love so much 10 years ago. But I was just in such a rush to kind of do everything else that was expected. And I thought that was what I wanted to do. I never took the time to stop, give myself a break, and just say, what do I really want to do? The other thing that I feel is, asking the right questions, which I guess also ties in with, this angle of being patient. Communicating clearly, explaining what you want, not being afraid to ask the questions which no one else has asked, is something I now remember being very hesitant about. I was quite shy about being the person who raised their hand and said, oh, but I don't agree with you. Can you tell me this part about this? Because I just felt, oh, maybe he's answered all the questions. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I haven't figured out the message. It's me. It's not the other person. But the more you ask, the more you know. So I would tell my younger self, don't be afraid. Less fear, more confidence. It's okay to make a fool of yourself. I feel like people put a lot of pressure on themselves on being right, on being proper, on being, because this whole image of a successful person, it's a myth where you assume, and especially younger people, I have 2 kids, and I try to drum this message into them saying, make as many mistakes. It's okay to make a fool of yourselves, because you know what? The message that you learn out of that experience will stay in your head for a really long time. Versus you keeping mum and assuming a lot of things, and then in the long run doing something which actually would be pretty detrimental for your career or for your own personal happiness.
Yeah, I mean, you said several tweetable things there. Good things take time. Great things take a lifetime.
Yeah.
This is my challenge. Patience is something I'm learning here, just over the recent time.
What is patience?
Exactly.
What is that? Let's move this thing along.
I know it's still, it's still a work in progress. I do see people who are incredibly patient, and I admire them so much, because it's just, I think we're just surrounded, or also sometimes it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're like, oh my God, if I'm not running really fast like a cheetah, I'm doing something wrong. This thing of slow down. It's okay. It's okay to take 6 months to read a book when someone else has finished it in a week. It's not a competition. Life is not a competition. Life is running your own marathon at your own pace and finishing it and being happy with the way you did the whole thing. Because as cliche as it sounds, it is the journey. And the destination will add to the happiness quotient, but enjoy the journey too. Don't be in a rush to just finish the race, and because that's it. Then what have you done? What have you learned in the process?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, the people that I know of that you look at and you say, oh, they got discovered, they got this big break. Normally, they were at this thing like 10 years.
Absolutely. And we forget that because, because the way it's also, I feel like the way media also projects superstars and very successful people. And I think about it a lot more because of my kids, and I'm always trying to figure out what should I tell them as they're growing older. It's not overnight. They were not discovered on the side of the road. That person recognized their talent at that moment, but they have worked on it since, like you said, Eric, for years. And the angst and the pain and the frustration that they must have gone through, that's never showcased. And I think it's important to talk about that. It's important to talk about the days when you felt like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And, you stuck by it. You suffered. You didn't have an income. Your friends are doing amazingly well. They bought a house. They're going on these amazing holidays, and you're like this struggling artist, and it's not fun to be a struggling artist. Everyone knows that. It's not. There's nothing glamorous about it. It takes strength, and if you really love what you do and have found the thing that you want to do, it's hard and you may fail, but it's okay. It's okay. You have to keep going.
Yeah, everyone sees that end result.
Yes.
Right. You see, fitness videos, they're always showing the person that's in shape.
Yeah.
Right. The person that's, that's got it all together. You see the, social media, everything is showing, hey, I just got the degree, I just got the doctorate and all that, but they're never showing, this is me at home right now, like scratching my head, like, how am I going to pass this test tomorrow?
Exactly.
That's not what they show. They just show.
There has to be more of that. I feel like it's so twisted towards one side that people don't know that it's okay to say that, you actually took 1 year to build, to handcraft a jewelry piece. It's fine to say that. There is no shame. And it's actually a powerful thing that you took the time to do that. People want to say, I woke up and I came up with this fabulous design and everyone in the world loves it. It's not like that. It's never like that. And I think that comes with time. And that's why when I was younger, I would look at other people who, a friend of mine actually became a published author when she was very young. She was immensely talented. But like Eric said, she was writing, she was going for these workshops when I wasn't even exploring that. She stepped out of her comfort zone and did that. And so she was a published author at the age of 25, whereas I was sitting at home and I was like, oh, that could have been me. And, I had not put in any work towards that. So why should I get the result?
No, absolutely. So let's talk about, like, what did your career look like prior to you founding Let's Curate? Like, what were you talking about? What were you doing? What was your typical day like?
Right. It's as cliched as possible, to be honest. There's nothing dramatic. There's nothing out of the box that I did. I pursued my bachelor's in arts. I completed like 2 degrees. I have 2 MBA degrees, one in international marketing, one in finance. I worked with venture capital firms, non-profits. Even when I say that, I'm like, oh my God, how did I do that? But anyway, I did those things. And I was good at them. I was trained at it. I was comfortable. I would say I enjoyed myself also. But I always had this thought in my mind, and this was even before I came with, I came up with the idea, was like, is this it? Like, is this it? Like, do I work hard and I put in my 100 hours a week and get to be partner at this firm? And, at the age of 50, I have 5 houses and I'm like going all over the place and having these amazing holidays. That somehow didn't sit pretty well with me. It was good. It's good. It was great to have, be independent at a very young age and have a fantastic paycheck. But I also always felt, I'm doing this for someone else. Is that something that I really want to do? But I was doing well in my career. I was actually in the process of setting up my own consultancy. I'd already set it up. So I had a few regular clients. So life was good. I need not have shaken up anything. I could have just gone along. But thank God I didn't.
Interesting. So talk about how did Let's Curate come about? You're doing this thing. You're on the typical path. You got your consultancy. So how do you go from that to discovering this great concept of Let's Curate?
So travel has always been a big part of my life. I spent most of my life in Mumbai, India, which is where I'm originally from. I've been in New York for 14 years. My family has always instilled a love of travel, and I've always done that for years and years and years. As I, initially you travel for, to go eat at the best restaurant at the city, or to go and check out the most famous landmark. And then, you're like, okay, this was a great trip. As I traveled more and more, I kind of was like, yes, this is great, but what else does the city have to offer? Where do the locals go? Where do they go find their stuff? So I kind of got a little cheesed off with, the tourist stores and, those typical sections of the city where, you only see tourists, you actually don't see any locals. So I started exploring other neighborhoods. And every time I came back from a trip, it always ended up with me getting something made by someone, whether it was a piece of art or a piece of clothing or, just a book written by someone local. I couldn't even read the language, so I would get the translated version. And I kind of kept in touch with a few of them over the years because I was so impressed by what they were doing. And it made me a bit sad every time I came back because I realized that, maybe I'm never going to get to see this person again. I'm never going to go to that store again. I don't have the opportunity, and I've kind of missed my connection with that person. And, these were people in little stores or even like making these things out of their homes and, on the street corners and things like that. And I thought to myself, there is no way for these people to know that what they're doing is extremely special. For someone who's traveled the world, I have seen a lot. Obviously, you see different parts of culture, in this, but it's kind of packaged in a way that appeals to international tourists. To kind of be, very clear. But these were people who had no idea. So they never packaged their thing. They never did it in a way which would appeal to someone. They just did it the way they were taught. And because they have no marketing expertise, they've never gone to a business school. It's fresh, it's organic, it's very true to what they have learned. And I realized that these people have no sense of how amazing their stuff is, how talented they are. And because they have no backing or they are so unaware, they are not invested at all in making it bigger or showing it to the world because they never felt that they were special. But they were incredibly special. And, this was kind of like the starting point. So every trip after that, I would kind of on purpose go and try to find more people. And I did. I found a group of 10 people. I kind of followed them over the many years. And the idea was still not in my mind. But I did feel that it's going to get lost in some manner. If everything gets packaged the way you want it to, it kind of is anonymous. You don't know the person. a scarf in Turkey ends up looking like a scarf from China because it's still packaged in a way which appeals to international tourists, so to say. So over many years, then I said, you know what, maybe I should try to look for someone who does this. Is there someone who does this where they connect you to the real artist and talk about art forms which we typically don't see? So I looked for a year. I looked for a couple of years. I'm still doing my corporate job. I'm in my consultancy firm is doing well. The money is steady, all of those things. And then after 2 years, I said, you know what, this is so pointless. I haven't found anything that comes close to the vision that I have built up in my mind. So what's the point of waiting? And I kind of did feel this urgency, and I have no idea, and I have no way to explain why I felt that, but I kind of felt, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it. And there's no, it's funny because people were like, oh, why did you feel that? Is it because, you were having like a midlife crisis or, all of those typical things? And I said, I actually have no idea, but I just felt that now or never. And I do want to also pass on. I kind of maybe also felt that because I had enough money, I had my savings. So I also want to kind of very strongly emphasize this point where for young people who want to start their businesses, there is this thing that, oh, you know what, give up everything and just focus on your art, just focus on building this $1 billion company. It's not so easy. It's okay. I was doing 3 jobs at one time. And it's okay. And I felt I had the courage to leave all that and start this. It's only because I did have a security blanket. I did know that at some point, if this is a complete failure, I can go back. I am trained for something else and I am good at that. So it's fine. So it was kind of a security blanket I took with myself, but I slowly let go of it. And, now after 2 years, I just feel like, okay, but the urgency was partly because I was comfortable. I had enough money to take the step. So I do want to, not make it sound like I woke up one morning and I said goodbye to all my clients. And I said, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore because I've just found my passion. No, it wasn't like that. I made sure I had enough money to start this. And I slowly eased myself out of that and, kind of discovering what I truly love now.
Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you just had this feeling that it's now or never.
Yes. And I don't know why, and I just cannot explain that.
So give us some more details about how does your business work? So you found these artisans. Mm-hmm. So how does it work?
So when we kickstarted in June 2019, like I said, I kept in touch with a group of 10 artisans from 10 countries. So we launched the platform with this group of people. And the key thing I wanted to focus on was that they were individual, independent artisans. So I do not work with organizations. There are plenty of amazing organizations that support and empower, say, village artisans or a certain group of people or a certain group of creators. I only focus on the individual. My job and my brand is about bringing the individual to the forefront. So when I it kickstarted as a regular store. So none of these 10 people had their own online presence, as to say. And like I said, when I met them, I said, why do you not have a store? And they said, we don't know what that means. We don't have time to think about all of that. So I said, you know what, I will do that because that's going to be my business. I will bring you to, I will connect you with potential customers. What happened over the course of 2019 was when we launched, we got a great response. We started getting, and again, I don't want to glamorize it by saying, we were flooded by, our network just expanded from 10 to 100. No, I wanted to keep it small. I wanted to keep it very selective and handpick people. So we did get a good response. And then we said, you know what, it's time for me to do my own show and have a pop-up fair for them. Guess what? COVID hit. The pandemic was upon us. I was paralyzed. The artisans were paralyzed. It had not even been a year. March 2021, we have booked all these exhibitions and I'm going to represent them at all these fairs across the US. We are booked till December 2020. Everything gets canceled. And then it took me a long time. And, I wanted to, and I thought to myself, oh my God, I just started this. and I'm not, I'm letting these people down. I have all their stuff with me in my house, and there's nothing I can do. There's no place I can go. This was a challenge, which now, it goes back to the story that you just said. By the way, that was not rehearsed. So I'm so happy that you actually told us the farmer story, because there was the opportunity. There was the opportunity for me to pivot and just say, so what if I can't do a physical fair? I will take the world is online. Let me just put it online. So we kickstarted something called a ready to ship collection, where we would ship everything within 24 hours. And this was all the stuff that I was going to show at exhibitions in any case. What I realized was that at the exhibitions, I would have met a very selective group of discerning customers, which would have been amazing. But in the virtual world, I met 3 times those number of people. So my world just exploded with that one thing that I came up with. It was not overnight. It took me 2 months. I wanted to make sure artisans were safe. We were also struggling to make sure that personally we were okay. But I didn't want to feel boxed in. And I wanted to just get out of the box and not feel so bad. I said to myself, I've not come all this way to now stop within 8 months. I mean, that's just, for me, that would have been a horrendous failure. So we started Ready to Ship. And once we did that, we got approached by a lot of people who said, you know what, we are hit by the pandemic. I don't have a full collection to give you, but I make these really cool things and I can just send you 2 pieces. Can you help me? And I was like, yes, I can absolutely help you. And that kickstarted the limited edition collection. So for limited edition, you'll get 1 or 2 pieces, and those are the only 2 pieces in the whole world that artisan would make. So we have paintings, we have hand painted scarves, 2 or 3 pieces. And creative people work differently. They don't work by deadlines. They don't. And that was the thing that I knew. So I think I kind of released the pressure by telling them, what do you want to do? This is what I can do for you. There is no deadline. Let's work together. We're hit by the pandemic. So there's no like, oh, I need it by in a month. I need to showcase it in like 6 weeks. Nothing like that. That released the pressure for them. They worked with the resources that they had, and they started sending us stuff. So we have about 10 to 12 limited edition collections now. We have people from Moldova, from Iran, from the US, of course, Canada, Romania, and all of them, they've made 3 pieces, 2 pieces, 1 piece, jewelry, painting, scarves. But I thought it was such a beautiful thing. And it was embarrassing because they were like, oh, no one ever said that you could just make a collection with 3 pieces. We always thought you had to make 50 pieces or, 30 pieces to be a viable business. And I said, no, who said that? The world didn't know there was going to be a pandemic. The rules are all out of the window now. Now we have to just, scramble and do something and make it interesting. So that's how we started limited edition. And, from then on, it's built up to many more things. We create a lot of content for emerging artists now. We do a lot of webcast interviews. We do portfolio showcases for them. There are a lot of artists who are emerging artists who want to approach art galleries. They don't know how to package their collection, or they don't know how to present themselves. We help them with that. So I have to say, the pandemic was the biggest learning curve for me. I think I just jumped from here to there after being paralyzed for 2 months. I have to say, I was paralyzed for 2 months. I didn't know what to do. But I don't think the pandemic was really a blessing. I got to meet so many more people online. I mean, it sucks to not be able to see them, but the bulk of the people within my network are people I have only seen through a screen. It's sad, but it's also exciting, because hopefully the world will come back to normal and I will get to travel and I will get to sit with them and have a cup of tea or whatever. But it just, I just met the world through a screen because of all these things that, it just sparked an idea.
It's interesting that you that you say that. We've talked about how, we started the podcast. And initially it was just like Eric and I, and we just reached out to people that we knew or people that we knew. Had them come out to the office, and we record the podcast and, put it out there on Facebook.
Right.
Then when the pandemic hit, there was no more coming to the office. And so then we just found ways to just kind of expand virtually.
Right.
Before you knew it, it was just more people. Like, we're always getting people that are sending us people that would have an interest to be on our show. And so, thinking about the opportunity to meet someone like you.
And same for me. Who would have, I don't think I would have met you if we had, I probably would have been, at an exhibition or a pop-up fair right now instead of, this is also, people also assume this is forever. This is not forever. There will be a time when we will go back to, the way things are supposed to be. But until then, why not embrace this and, make the most of it?
I truly think it's going to be a mix of the two.
Good. Yes, very well.
It's going to be a hybrid of this because we can reach so many people through the digital platforms, and why shut it down?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's interesting. I was just thinking about this today, Ted. So I remember when we would do this podcast at Ted's office, and we'd have a guest. Let's say it was somebody that I knew. We'd have the guest, and the question would be, "So Eric, do you think she can meet us at the office, and do it in person?" Where now we're talking to people in Australia,
right?
And we wouldn't even think to ask that question.
That's right.
Exactly.
Just send her the link.
Yes.
Just send her the link.
But yeah, it's certainly been a game changer. You said something that's interesting. You said the pandemic has been a blessing.
It has.
It's all about, and that's the spirit of the What Now movement, really. Right. I mean, how do you pivot? How do you take something that you can look at and face value that's bad, but how can you pivot so that it can really help you to move forward?
And the one thing I would like to add is people also assume that you need to have the whole plan in place. Wrong. You don't need to have the whole plan in place. You need to take the first step and just be confident and just also put it out there. Just like Ted said, just put it out there. Tell people what you're trying to do and they will help you. You will help yourself. But you don't need to know everything from A to Z, because if you did, again, there would be no innovation. If you don't do step one, take the first step. The second step may be something you never thought of. So if you already have a big plan, it's very difficult to work, kind of go against the plan.
Yeah.
So, the plan is to just take a step, if you feel strongly about it, and if you're okay with making mistakes, if you're okay with taking a first, one step and going 5 steps back, then it's fine. Then I think you're in the right frame of mind.
No, that's a great point. I think so many of us were trained that way. Like you go to school and you got to have a business plan, and everything is so structured in how you do it. And I think when Eric and I first started with this podcast, because we were for years talking about what we could do together, and it was always just our thought process was so structured. And then one day we said, you know what, we're just going to do it like, the millennials do. We're just going to start it. We're going to start next Monday. We're going to start recording, and we're going to download some software. And we talked to a millennial, and he was like, yeah, download the software. This is what you do. You can do it on your cell phone. And next thing you know, we had a podcast. It was nothing planned out, no research, no analytics done around it. Anything. No, we just started. And now
it's so much more fun. It's so fun to just jump sometimes, not to have everything, packaged a certain way, the lighting has to be this way. No one's trained for that. And I think people also connect with real people.
Yeah.
Because there's so much of social media messaging where everything is shown a certain way. You kind of, the messaging also kind of gets blurred because everyone looks the same. Everyone's using the same buzzwords. Your mind just, I feel like that when I'm listening to certain people, and I'm like, oh my God, you just literally said what, the previous podcaster was saying, and you're using the same words, and you just, you've just reframed it. And people are not dumb,
No.
They want fresh content. They want people to engage and connect. And with the pandemic, I think that's what people are missing. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for connections, and real connections show when it's organic. And just like you started, you were just like, let's do it on a Monday, and look at you, 100+ shows now. That's congratulations, by the way. That's phenomenal.
Thank you so much. And I liked what you were saying about when you were in these other countries and you were, dealing with these artisans and their authentic self.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How they do it. Right. And that's how, and just as attractive or exciting as it was for you to engage with them, you wanted to give them an opportunity to be able to do it that way to the world without it being, put in a certain box. I think that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So talking about these artisans, so you had that initial 10.
Yeah.
So now, like, how do you decide who you work with now?
So, this goes back to, what we were talking about, the lessons for your younger self.
Uh-huh.
It's clear communication. It's clear, as time has gone by, it's a storytelling platform. I've kind of fine-tuned it to almost like an art form, in the sense where I'm very clear it has to be independent. The person has to be independent. He has to bring someone, he or she has to bring something special from where they are. So we don't enlist anyone. Now, we're kind of flooded with work, and it's fantastic. From being, sitting around for 2 months and twiddling my thumbs and just being like frustrated all the time. Now I'm like frustrated because I have no time. But it's, we always begin, we never turn, like me and my team, we never turn anyone away. That is, I feel that people who, I needed courage when I wanted to start this, and I had an amazing support system, and, everyone around me said, of course you should do it. Like, why not? Just try it. And that, coupled with my confidence, I was like, okay, let me just do it. Because I also have people who won't be like, oh my God, how can you have no background for this. You have no this thing. I don't like that. People grow and learn, and it's an ongoing process. So there is no textbook for this. So when we have people approach us, the first thing I do is get on a call with them. I personally connect with everyone. We're now, my group, my network now has 38 artisans from 26 countries. So I've connected with each one of them personally. I want to understand how they want to present themselves. So some people say, we just want our products, we can just make 2 things. So can we be part of your limited edition? And then we talk about the process, why that would be a good fit for limited, because limited edition is exclusive for the platform. So, we go back and it's a dialogue. It's not, this is what we want and this is what you have to give us. There are people who are struggling with, how should I'm not great, like, I want to talk about my art. I'm not good at, a certain language. I know I'm weak in English. What could I do? Like, how do I do that? So we found different ways. So we do something called a portfolio showcase, where people are not very comfortable with communicating verbally. We kind of find ways to, we do something like an meet the artist at the studio, where we actually do a video recording. This is also done virtually, which is fantastic. So the artist is working in her or his studio, and we're just talking to them as they explain the process, and then they show us the piece. So it's something that eases them. This is not like you need to be like a PhD in English to explain your concept. It's more, so it's different ways. So with each person, I make suggestions on what would be the best thing for them. And then, it's kind of like a back and forth. And now we have so many avenues to showcase people that we can help them in multiple ways, which was one of my, that was one of my things that I realized during the pandemic. It doesn't need to just be an online store. In fact, now I've made my brand a little distinct, because it's an online store. It's also a resource source. It's also a place where you get a lot of showcase videos, where you can go and say, oh, let me find this artist and let me see her work. I have 2 minutes. Let me see what she does. So you can see that then we do a one-on-one conversation, just like we're doing with you, where we go in depth into their inspiration, what influenced the work. Exactly like you were saying, Eric, what is the story behind their creation? So once we establish that, there are some people who say, oh, we're not ready for this. Or I say, you know what, maybe let's continue the conversation and let's make a decision in 6 months. So there's nothing, we have a lot of content coming in, but I never have a very strict timeline for anything. It's only when the artisan and me are comfortable with what and how we're going to present them. That's when we, so every time it's like what we're talking about, you see these overnight successes. So when we launch someone, it's not that we found that person or that person approached us 7 days ago and we quickly shot a video and did like this photo shoot, and then 7 days later we're launching them. It's been in the works for 6+ months, and today is the day we're ready to showcase. Nothing gets showcased unless completely approved by the artisan. So we also show them everything that we're going to kind of talk about how they want to be presented, and unless they sign off, we don't. So we are open to making changes, things like that. We keep it very easy, the terms and conditions in that sense. And I've seen that the more leeway you give people, the more creative they get, the more at ease they are, and amazing things come out of that.
So I'm just interested in how any gaps in technology, like if you're in these different countries and you're working with some of these people, I mean, how would you establish that communication to be able to utilize the technology? Is it technology that they already have on hand, or you have something there to?
Yes. So we have, it's a learning curve. We're still in the process of fine tuning and making it absolutely perfect. There have been times when in a video interview, like the lamp has just fallen off on my face while I'm talking to someone. Oh, wow. So we're still, like it was very precariously placed. But, I'm still not brave enough to do something live like you guys are doing. So we haven't done live content as such. I'm working towards that.
Just jump out. Just jump out there. Do it.
It's kind of a lot of the video interviews, they're all pre-recorded. So we obviously do some post-production after that. There has been an interesting incident where someone was not very comfortable in English. So we said, okay, let's get a translator in. So we had the translator on one computer. The person was speaking and I was on the other end. So it was like, and we were in 3 different countries. So, these are ways that we're trying to kind of overcome this. But the person was I felt like he just came alive because he got the freedom to say what he wanted to say in the language that he was most comfortable in. That is another thing. I don't think English has to be the language. We assume that everyone knows English and everyone wants to communicate in English, and you have to be so good at it, your grammar and all. It's not. Sometimes it's so beautiful to listen to someone talk about their thoughts and ideas in a language that they're most comfortable with. So we had an intern who spoke the same language, and she translated for us. She was in Brazil, he was somewhere else, I was in New York. It was amazing. It was really good. Wow. So hopefully that video is going to come out soon. So we've tried to kind of, with baby steps, overcome some of these digital challenges, which will, like you said, the world is going to be a hybrid place. So I need to up my game on that.
That's all right. That's really cool. Thank you.
So what message do you have for our followers on why they should support these independent artisans?
I feel like independent artisans never get an opportunity to. They sacrifice a lot because they are going against the route of mass production. That is a big, big, big risk. There are these huge e-commerce websites where people are offering 5,000 products and 10,000 products, and you can just order in bulk, and you get like this amazing pricing because it's in bulk. These are people who are struggling to make, they're taking their time to make 10 pieces. And I want people who buy that or who appreciate that to know the time and the effort. I think that makes the creation even more special, because they have not fallen prey to this madness of just finishing it off and moving on to like the next trendy thing to do. So I think it's important for people to understand why it's, it is, they create something special because, being an artisan stands for loving art and creativity and the process, focusing on taking the time to do it, not being in a rush, and, not being an anonymous figure in the back. I want people to know that this is the person who made it. He has so much pride. He has learned it from like 7 generations ago. This is his story. And I also want the artisan to have that pride amongst themselves that I made this and I am proud of it. So to kind of make that connection, it's important as we're going, moving towards a sustainable world where people do want to know where they got their product from. It is important to give them this encouragement, because if we don't, they're just going to lose steam. They're just going to look for a job that will help them, pay the rent. And that's pretty sad, because I feel like the thing that people forget is during the pandemic, we survived because we had music to listen to. We had stories to watch. We had books to read. This is all stuff made by artisans and artists. We were not watching an engineer build a brick, like build a brick wall. We were,
well, no, I did do that. Once or twice I did.
Other than Ted, we were.
Yeah. I think it's pretty amazing to watch.
We've survived this phase because of artists in many, many ways. So we should, I think, put our weight behind them for people that you kind of feel strongly about. This doesn't mean you go out and like support anyone and everyone. It has to be, that's why my platform, I aim to connect you to the right kind of person. There's a painting that you like, which I may not like. But if you develop kind of a collaborative process with the person who painted it, what a wonderful relationship that is. Because what you get is a painting and the person who made that for you. So it's extra special both ways. So why not pause and take the time and appreciate the effort that they've taken, instead of kind of being trigger happy and just being like, oh, it's going to be shipped in 48 hours. Let me just get it. It's okay to wait. It's okay to wait for the good stuff in life.
And I could also see like a sense of pride that you'd have of having a painting or some other piece of artwork that someone in some other part of the world
has made
specifically for you.
Exactly, because that person has tapped into something that exists within you, and that has happened only because you both took the time to talk to each other or to communicate with each other about what you both were. And artists are amazing because that's what they do. They take what you are and they bring it out in a way that you never thought. It's impossible to do that when you say, I need this in 48 hours. It's all gone. It's disappeared. Yep. They don't have the time to think.
The other good thing about that is you don't have to worry about any of your friends having it at their house.
That's true. That's true too.
Right. They come over your house, like, where'd you get that? Huh?
Yes. Yeah. That's only for me. That's only for me.
You will never find this.
So true. So true.
That's right.
So what's next on the horizon for you?
I was thinking about that the other day, and to be honest, Eric, I've not made any plans. I think I've discovered that not making plans has actually helped me discover a lot more. The pandemic was the biggest thing that shattered all my plans. And I think, the lesson learned is just keep moving ahead, keep the messaging clear. What is my platform? What am I trying to do? And, different ways will come out of it. So I don't have a very good answer for that. I don't have anything. I don't have like a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. And it's funny I say this because I remember at an interview that I had given after I got my MBA, that was the question that was always asked. What is your 5-year plan once you join this company? And I was like, oh my God, because, when everyone asks you the same question, you just end up saying the same thing that everyone else does. Mm-hmm. Oh, I want to be a partner. I want to be a managing director. I want to be this. I want to be that. So when I started this, I was like, no 5-year plans, no 10-year plans. We'll just go along with it.
If you tell them, yeah, I'm coming to get your job. That's what I'm going to do. They won't ask that question again.
Yes, I would.
I'm not going to take 5 years to do it. So
I might have started my Let's Curate platform a lot earlier because no one would have given me a job. They would have just been like, get out of the room.
That's right. Definitely.
Oh my God.
All right.
Yes.
So now we're about to go around the horn. And this is Ted's favorite part of the show, by the way.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. He loves this part.
No, I do not like this part of the show. I wish we would just stop doing this part. Maybe we just let the guests give their final take, but then I have to always follow. Let's just end with the guests. Let the guests. No, Ted has to try to come up with something to follow the guests.
Oh God, no.
I don't like it.
So this is the part of the show, everybody, where we each, all three of us,
right.
we give a closing thought, just kind of based off of the theme of what we've been talking about. And we'll start with our guest of honor, Meghana. What is your closing thought for Around the Horn?
I think the biggest learning for me in the past 2 years, I mean, I'm just saying past 2 years, but I think it's been more than that, is that you can always pivot. You can always change the rules. Don't box yourself in, because when you box yourself in, you're limiting yourself. Break the box and step out is what I would say, because every time I've pivoted, that pivot has caused a lot of, it's an extreme emotion, and it's an adventure. And then, you kind of get addicted to that, because you're like, oh, I pivoted and I learned this. I also failed at the other thing. But, you always remember the learning. You always remember the big learning curve jump that you made when you decided to just be like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I can't show my products in person. I'm going to pivot and just show it digitally. I'll just do it virtually. Huge thing. If I had said, oh my God, my life is over, let me just shut shop and, let's just wait for the pandemic to end, which, you are tempted when it's tough and there's no money coming in, and, you've promised all these things to people and it's all like just poof gone. It is difficult to do that. But over time, I've realized that every time I have felt myself boxed in is when I've realized that now is the time, I'm on the cusp of actually learning something amazing. So let me just like jump out and do what's kind of like in my mind at that point. Because there is always one strong thought, even when you're feeling helpless or you're feeling stuck. There is a thought, and I think if you follow that trail of that thought, it could lead you to something. It may not always lead you to something amazing, but at least you're out of the corner. So don't be afraid to change track. There is no one track for everyone. Everyone has to make their own, you have to create your own journey. And every morning I wake up and I say that to myself, because I now feel the joy and the happiness when I say that to I feel pride within myself, knowing that I pivoted when I didn't have any other options, and it worked out great for me. It gives me courage for the time when in future I may pivot and may fail. But so far, whatever I've tried, I've hustled and I've made it work somehow. So, don't put blinders on. Just keep an open mind.
No, I think that's great advice. Great advice.
Thanks.
All right, Ted.
Yeah, and I'm supposed to follow that. What happened? Am I supposed to follow that? So, I think one of the points that you made earlier was just kind of enjoy the journey. I think that's just the key thing, is just enjoy the journey, enjoy the ups and downs, and the different twists and turns and whatever it is that you're doing. Enjoy the journey. And again, a friend said to me one time before, I said, everyone's journey is not your journey. Right. So because they get there in a year or 2 years, or like the young lady you said that was an author at an early age or whatever, I mean, who knows, right? But just your journey is your journey, and just enjoy it and maximize it. And I also like the whole thing about just not being so much in a box, just kind of going with it, just allowing just, yourself to be, creative and innovative. And I just think that if you do that, and be your authentic self, you'll have success, right? You'll have success, and what success to someone else is not necessarily
exactly
success.
Exactly. That is so true.
Yeah. Someone else will look at you and think, man, you've done so much. Like, well, I just haven't even scratched the surface yet.
Right.
Or someone else will be like, man, you haven't done anything.
Right. Exactly.
And someone else, those individuals that are in those other parts of the country, they're probably very proud of what they've done, even though, to our standards, they may not be making a lot of money, but to their standards, they're very proud. They go every day and set up shop, and, with every, they probably have some of the greatest customer service ever.
Exactly. So true.
So, but thank you so much for that.
No, that's great. Great points, Ted.
I'm always put in this situation that I gotta just figure out something. I'm going after these amazing guests. I just can't come up. Every now and then you'll let me slide with, ditto. Like out of 100 some episodes, I think you've let me do that like twice, right? So I know, so I have to spread those out. So
okay.
But Ted says he doesn't like it, but he always says something profound. So
okay, that was beyond profound. I was like nodding my head with everything that he was saying.
But here's the catch to that. If you ask me to say it again, good luck that.
That's what makes it amazing.
Right.
Golden words.
Thank you.
So my around the horn has to do with, you said something about you realized this was a now or never time. This is a now or never moment. I just want to talk about that really quick because I think during my journey I've encountered some of those now or never moments. So I try to like I project this person, like I call him 90-year-old Eric, right? I think so. Sometimes if I have a decision to make, I try to project to 90-year-old Eric and I ask him, what would he have to say about this decision? Well, what would 90-year-old Eric advise me to do? And you can think of the now or never moment as a risk, but I think it's riskier to look back and think of what might have happened.
Right.
So I think you just really have to pay close attention to those now or never moments. And it's not, to me, it's not about just jumping out there and not having a plan. It's when you know within yourself that now is the time. That this is the door is not going to stay open forever. This is the door I have to go through right now.
Wow.
To get to that next place.
I like that. I like the thought of the 90-year-old Eric. That seems like he'd be a fun guy to like talk to in the podcast. I don't even need a guest.
Right.
I'm just gonna talk.
What time does the podcast start?
It's gonna start when I'm ready to start it.
Oh God.
One day it's at 7, another day it's at 12, 2 o'clock. You just be going live, just saying, yo, kind time of the day.
Where is that Ted? I don't know. You know what time the show starts.
Oh man.
That is funny. That's very
You never sent me the link. You never sent me the link, man. Send me the link.
Yeah.
I don't know how to work this mouse anyway.
But think about it though. If you project yourself as an older person, and think about, okay, what would they tell you? They would tell you to take the chance.
Yeah.
And go for it. So that's how I think that's a good way to approach those now or never moments. And Meghana, we definitely were thankful that you took the now or never moment and you made the right decision. And what's interesting about your story is you're going against everything you were taught.
Yes, that's true.
You're going against all your training.
That is so true. There's nothing that I prepared for academically that's got any connection with. I'm sure there's things that you derive as there are skills that you pick up in the corporate world that you apply, but there is no those are like the subtle things, but there is no clear connection, and that's great. So I feel like people should just also not try to always connect the dots. You don't have to always, everything doesn't have to be you connect the dots and then this is the picture. You could just like stop doing the dots thing. You can just move on to something else.
Later for those dots.
Yes.
Absolutely. So how can people connect with you? How can they connect with Let's Curate and support these artisans? What's the best way for them to do that?
So a couple of, simple ways. The website is letscurate.com, LETSCURATE. Mine is a very small team. It's just me and 3 other people. So we respond to each and every person who reaches out to us. So the other best way to do is through emailing us at letscurateinfo@gmail.com. And of course, Instagram, which is lets_curate. Any of these, ping us through any of these avenues and we will be sure to get back to you. Like I said, we do not ever turn people away. We always make sure that we, do respond. One of my pet peeves when I was working in the corporate world is when people have websites and they're like, contact us. And there's like that message form. No one is reading that. And that used to annoy me so much because I was like, why do you even have that? Like, what is the purpose of that page? So when I kickstarted this, when I was talking to the person, I was like, that is the one thing I'm not going to do. I will have someone talk to, because, sometimes it takes a lot for people to reach out and send an email and say, I am so-and-so. And it's not easy for everyone. So, if you could be instrumental in discovering something, it would be my loss if I didn't, connect with someone who maybe took a big step in writing to me and I never wrote back. And then that person maybe said, you know what, she doesn't really care. Why do I even do this? And just not, it would be my loss. So I always think of every new email or every new, person who reaches out as an opportunity for myself to discover something amazing or to show my audience something amazing.
You're so nice. You're so nice.
I try.
If it was the pandemic, I just feel like I can just hug you. You're just so nice.
I try. Not all the time.
I'm gonna make sure that I reach out on Let's Curate.
Please do.
And don't have me sitting out there. Don't let me be the one that you didn't respond
I know. I better be careful.
Like I reached out to you like 7 months ago. It's Ted from the show. Eric's friend. Oh, Eric's friend. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh my God. That would be something. I would be like, oh, it's Ted. It's okay. I don't need to respond to it.
That's right. He understands. I'm busy.
Yeah, he can wait.
Oh my God. That is so funny.
We definitely want to thank our guest, Meghana Giridhar, for joining us and sharing what she shared and bringing such a unique concept that we need to take advantage of. We'll definitely have the links in the show notes so people can take advantage and support these artisans and support your efforts as well. Again, like we said at the top, our goal is to help you to laugh, learn, and level up. If you feel like we did that for you, make sure you share the show.
Share the show.
You're not just sharing the show, you're sharing Let's Curate. You're getting her message out there.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, and those people that are out there in these other parts of the country, there's people that need to know about that. And they'll find out from the show. So share the show.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And don't forget now, you can, in addition to the usual channels, the Facebook, the LinkedIn, you can also catch us on Twitch.
Look at there.
That's right.
Look at there on Twitch.
That's right. You can catch us on Twitch. Later this will be recorded and edited, and we'll actually take it to iTunes and Spotify and anywhere else you like your podcasts.
Told you I still got some friends, and man, I didn't even know you had a podcast. I didn't even know it. Why did you say something? Come on. You think I just keep posting this stuff about the podcast on all these platforms? I email you. I told your mom. I didn't even know. I didn't even know you had a podcast. We're on Twitch now.
We're everywhere. That's right. Anywhere you look, you'll find us. Again, thank you for watching us. Again, thank you to our guest. Make sure you go to Let's Curate.
Thank you.
Pick up one of her pieces. Like I said, the links will be in the show notes. And this will be all around the world, Ted. When everybody shares this episode, this will be all over the world.
Around the world.
Well, this has been a great show. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, have a great one.